Okay, I think we can kick off. It is 11:04. Thank you everyone for, oh, here we go, one more. Thank you everyone for joining us today. I suspect this meeting is probably going to be a little bit shorter because there's few of us, given the weather and outages and whatnot. Um, on the agenda today, we have some updates. So Rita is going to let us know how the Community Advisory Board is going, and talk a little bit about progress and next steps. We've started to pull some findings, rather, I should say, Rita has started to pull some findings together from that. So we can talk about that. We'll do a update on the public survey, which is live and out there through March 8th. And then we'll talk a little bit about survey promotion, and what else we can do there. There's still quite a lot on OCPC side that we're doing, so I'll update folks on that. And then if we have time, talk a little bit about the existing conditions assessment that Barrett is preparing. That's kind of the next big step for the project. There's only a few of us online today, so I thought maybe we can go around and introduce ourselves. I know there's a few new faces here, so it would be great to get to know folks a little bit better. So I'm Joanne Zigmund from Old Colony Planning Council. We're the regional planning agency for the Greater Brockton and Plymouth areas. We've partnered with Plymouth County, the Marion Institute, and Barrett Planning to run this food system assessment project, which is funded by the Municipal Vulnerability Preparedness Grant Program that the state runs. I'll pass it over to Bill.
Bill Napolitano, Resilience and Sustainability Planner at Old Colony Planning. And I'll pass it over to Frank.
Frank Basler, Plymouth County Administrator, and I'll pass it over to Chris.
Chris Heffernan, Plymouth County Administrator in Training. I work with Frank and Teresa.
Teresa Vertazaro, I am the Assistant Plymouth County Administrator.
Great. Meg?
Hi, I'm Meg Riley. I'm the Ag Extension Educator for Plymouth County Extension.
Rita?
Rita Higgins with the Marion Institute and working on most of the carrot work.
And Jill?
Hi, Jill Slankis with Barrett Planning Group. Joining me here today is Brenna Trollinger from our firm, as well as working on our consultant team is Lydia Sasson from who's a food system consultant.
Welcome, Brenna and Lydia. Let's pass it over to Kevin.
Hi, Kevin Kogan, Town of Abington.
And Christine Keller.
Hi, I'm Christine Keller, Director of Food Pantries for Catholic Charities in Greater Boston. And I did have I'll come back to that. Sorry, go ahead.
Okay. Nathan?
Hi, I am Nathan Brown. I am the legislative aide for State Representative Michelle Badger's office.
Thanks for joining, Nathan. And Jared?
Hello, everyone. My name is Jared Rogers. I am the Director of Development for United of Greater Plymouth County. I think many of you probably know our leader, Dennis Carmen.
And Cassandra?
Hi, everyone. So I'm the Food Access and Outreach Director for Boys and Girls Club of Metro South. So I do all of our food rescue and our farm team throughout Bristol County and moving into Plymouth County now.
Great. And have I missed everybody? It keeps popping around on my screen, so I think I got everybody. Did I miss anyone? No? Christine, I'm going to get back to you because you had a question, it sounded like. So let's start with that.
Sorry. I did have a question if there's any Indigenous representation in this collaborative and if they're being reached out to for participation in the carrot survey.
Yeah, so OCPC, so they unfortunately, so we are in our region, the main representative is the Herring Pond tribe in the Plymouth area. They're aware of the project and they've been reached up to, they're on our list, they keep up to date. They haven't been able to attend any meetings. I think they're pretty stretched with a lot of other things that they're doing. But yeah. Good question. All right. So let's start with Rita. So the Community Advisory Board, which is meeting right after this meeting today, has been working for several months now to run through a CARET tool, which is a very long list of now roughly 150 indicators that aim to measure the region's strengths and weaknesses on various aspects of the overall food system. And it's soon coming to a close. I think we have like one theme today and then another theme next month, and we'll have completed the whole series. So, Rita, why don't you give us a little bit of an update and talk about next steps and findings?
Yeah, so we are on theme 6 of the 7 themes this month. So you are right, Joanne. We have just the 2 more official sessions for running through the carrot. We've had pretty solid participation of about 15 people or so each time. Core group, many of whom are here, and then changing a bit during each session. It is something, though, that we really do want to kind of bolster our findings, and we'll be planning to do that and getting more participation from people who weren't able to make it, people who are interested in participating, but didn't get a chance to attend, and then sort of theme-specific experts. Will be doing that through outreach that is coordinated with the outreach that Barrett's doing, and we still have some focus groups as well that we are going to be planning. So what we've been doing is in each session, we run through the indicators. We've been sticking to one theme a session, which the last few meetings we've been able to finish each theme at the start with some of the bigger, heavier, longer themes. There are a few indicators that we missed. And the next steps are going to be getting input from all of our community advisory boards about what we're calling our draft findings. So we're taking things from the notes documents that everyone sees us taking notes in the meetings. We put them into a spreadsheet, and then we start to get an understanding of who we might need to reach out to confirm some of the pieces, sort of especially who we might need to reach out to that cuts across different themes. Once we confirm those findings, those will be the final findings that we use to then score. So confirming findings are the next steps, and then followed by scoring. And Joanne, if showing some visuals would be helpful, I'm happy to do that. But that's essentially where we're at.
Rita, Jill, Brenna, have you guys figured out how you're going to incorporate this into the final action plan yet?
Right now in the report, we have a designated section for it. But because the 2 are going on concurrently, we're thinking that it's going to make sense to best weave it in its draft form when we're doing strategies and recommendations. Because that's about when the timelines are going to be like most parallel to one another.
So
And
it's going to be
caveat that'll be it's draft and not finalized.
Yeah, so you're thinking more like it'll be its own chapter in the overall action plan once it's ready.
That will then, inform the strategies and can be like cross-referenced throughout the rest of the report.
I've also been, thanks Rita for sharing all the interviews, because I'm trying to find the themes in those as well to pull in, and kind of we'll share what's come from those interviews with you directly before in the draft format, before using any parts of those, but it has been really helpful to read the interviews that your team has done. So thank you for that information. It's great.
Yeah, absolutely. And for everyone else, those are the interviews that we did with the Bristol County Carrot. So we went through the same process. We worked with our community advisory board from the South Coast Food Policy Council to answer each of the indicators for Bristol County. And then we did our one-on-one interviews to confirm and clarify what we found. And some of those organizations and interviews are applicable to the Plymouth project as well. So Lydia and the Barrett team has all of those. And I think there's still more conversation for us to have with really kind of pulling the carrot material into what Barrett is doing. And again, some of it just looking at how we can make sure that we're capturing the overlap and ultimately making all of this information as useful as possible, and not redundant in the work we're doing. So we're sort of in the works, but we are very actively going through the process with Bristol County, Plymouth County, and then Nantucket and Dukes, and all at different stages. So we're learning as we go about how to adapt the carrot process and the information in a way that makes it even more useful. So
and for some of the newer folks on the call today, so alongside the public survey that's out right now, the Barrett Group, Lydia, the team, have been doing a lot of interviews and probably will be doing some focus groups over the next month, with mostly food related businesses, a lot of producers at the moment, farmers, but also broadening it out to food pantries. We'll be talking to some institutional food folks. So some of you are like school nutrition folks, Meals on Wheels providers, councils on aging, a whole variety of stakeholders in the food system. So if anybody does at any point have any suggestions, and I'm going to send up a follow-up email anyway to everybody this week, but alongside promoting the survey, the other thing that we're looking to do is reach out to more folks to be able to interview and or do focus groups with them. So if you guys have any introductions that you think might be useful, please, we always welcome those. Anybody have any? Rita, was that all you wanted to share? Anything else? Sounds good. Does anybody have any questions for Rita about the carrot process? No? Okay, super. We also, as I mentioned, are doing a public survey. It's been out for a couple of weeks. As of this morning, we've had 240 responses. I'd say probably the majority of those are from a handful of communities, Plymouth, Kingston, quite a few from Brockton, Whitman. So we still have quite a long way to go, I think, to really diversify the representation on that survey. 31 of those responses are from businesses, which I'm actually kind of pleasantly surprised about because we tend to have difficulty getting businesses to reply to surveys as opposed to residents. So we still have, just looking at my notes here, we still have quite a lot that OCPC is doing to try and push that out. We're going to start advertising on social media probably tomorrow. We're getting everything ready to go out for that. So the ads on social will run through March 8th through the end, and we're probably going to put in maybe around $500 for that advertising from the project budget. We might boost that depending on where things are at in a few days. We have done that before and have gotten quite a good response from that. So we're hoping that will be the same here. We were going to push out to all of our municipalities on Monday reminders to share on their social and include in their newsletters and things, but we had a blizzard. So we decided not to share anything with them again because we thought it would just get lost in their emails. So I think tomorrow we'll probably end up sending that reminder out to all of the municipalities that are involved to help us promote that. I know some of them, like I saw that Cohasset included a notice in their planning department newsletter. We had Rockland put it up on their social media. So there's definitely been a few municipalities that have been helping us push stuff out. So that's been great. We have not yet reached out to any of the local papers. So that's on my list again to do this week. So if anybody has any connections with any local media that might be interested in doing something, that will be super helpful. What else? We do have all the translations completed. So the survey is now available in Spanish, English, Haitian Creole, and Cape Verdean Creole. I didn't look to see actually if we had anybody reply in other languages. Usually we get roughly a dozen or so in a survey. So we're hoping we're hoping that helps people as well participate. What else on the survey? I think that's kind of it in a nutshell. Oh, I'm presenting to our our council this evening. So we have delegates from all of OCPC's 17 municipalities on our council. So I'm going to ask them to help us with promotion, and I'm going to send them some promotional toolkit stuff afterwards so that they can, remind their towns to help push this out. On Friday, OCPC is having a legislative breakfast. I don't really know the details about it, other than I'm going to be apparently speaking about our food project. So I'm hoping to raise some awareness. I know we have here with us Nathan from Rep Badger's office, and we've had some interest from a few other reps in the project area as well. But I'm going to raise that bar again on at the event on Friday. Hopefully it happens. I think they're still kind of trying to figure out whether it's going to be good timing or not because of electrical outages and whatnot. And I don't think the venue's been plowed yet. Anyway, so we're going to ask, all the legislators there to help us push it out to their constituents as well, too. And we did get a request for paper surveys. Teresa, I know I was supposed to get that to you last Friday. I wasn't able to. So I'll definitely be able to get that to you this week. So we
Thanks.
sorry about that. So we will be
That's
able
all
to
right.
get that out. I think that's all I've got on my end. Did I miss anything, Jill or Bill?
No, where are the paper surveys going?
So Teresa, which Council on Aging requested them from your end?
I believe it was Whitman reached out and thought it would be easier to have a paper survey for their participants at the Council on Aging.
Yeah. So we did contact all of the COA directors through we at OCPC are also the area agency on aging, which covers most of Plymouth County, I believe, if not all. So we did reach out to all those directors, asking them to share the survey as well too. I'm going to follow up today with some of the promotional materials that we have so that they have access to those. So I so far haven't received any additional requests for paper surveys, but I might include that as an option for them as well too, if they do want to print those out.
Okay. Just in terms of timing, then I'm just wondering how they would be, entered or added to the survey responses by the current, end of the survey of March 8th, or if we need to consider, a slight extension of that.
So I think so I talked to Teresa a little bit about that, and she was happy to be able to volunteer to help enter some of those. We never get even when we do paper surveys, we never get an overwhelming amount of them. So I think we should be okay.
So
I don't expect there to be much of a delay on that.
Okay, sounds great. And thank you, Teresa.
I think somebody just asked a question, and here we go. Christine says that they could use paper versions to share with clients and promotional materials. Yeah, so we'll get some of those over to you, Christine. That would be fabulous. I know Catholic Charities as well as a group that we want to interview, so we'll probably be in touch with you separately to organize that, if that would be all right.
Yeah, sounds great. Thank you.
Awesome. Cool. Anything else about the survey? Does anybody have any questions or other ideas or suggestions?
I'm going to the Farm Bureau legislative breakfast on March 6th, so I was going to make sure to share it then as well. So I was going to have the QR code available for those folks. There might be some farmers that would do better with a paper survey, but I fear that I would never be able to get it back in a timely fashion.
That's always the challenge. Do you have the flyer, Meg? I'm going to actually, you know what? I'm going to resend it to everybody anyway, but you can print out that little flyer. It's like a half page, and that'll have the QR code on it as well. There was something else that I was just going to mention that I totally forgot.
I also, Joanne, I asked Susan at CMAP to if she'd be willing to help distribute through her farmer list and also in their newsletter. And I just sent the info to her. I think they'd be a great resource.
Yeah, I'm on the board of CMAP, so I had sent it over to Heather.
Awesome.
She said she's going to get the next e-blast.
Thanks, Meg.
Yeah, that'll be great. I had reached out to them a few times before, but I've never really engaged much with them. So it's good to have it coming from multiple angles. I did reach out to, I know we reached out to various parts of MDAR to have them spread the word. I reached out to Catherine from the farmland protection side of things, and she didn't feel like it was a good fit for their newsletter, partly because they don't have a lot of local people. They mostly just have broader kind of like state stuff. So we didn't get it in there. But I know we've been trying to get it out in other MDAR communications. And I did ask our MVP coordinator if she had any other folks in the area that, she could potentially share it with. So,
And
so I think
Joanne,
we're probably,
what about the southeastern or edible southeastern Massachusetts? I think you may have reached out to them.
Yeah, unfortunately, I'm not getting any replies.
Oh, okay.
So
Okay.
I know Liz connected with her last week. I had sent her I sent her like all the promotional stuff and the text and everything.
Okay.
And I know Liz connected with her. Yeah.
Try Terry. If you don't get Lori, try Terry.
I don't know, Terry. If you could shoot me over her email address and I can try that, Liz.
Same. I can pull it up.
Is it okay?
In the chat.
Okay.
And then
the other thing is the weeklies, like the Wareham Weekly has a good online following. That might be a good one. I don't know what the other local papers are, but I would definitely reach out to the Wareham Weekly.
Yeah, if you guys, so we're at OCPC, we're really most familiar only with those that are in our 17 municipalities. So any broader stuff, like I didn't know Wareham had one, so that's super helpful. So if anybody knows of any other local stuff beyond like we know about the Duxbury Clipper, the Plymouth Independent, we have the Hanson Halifax Express, Brockton Enterprise, actually that's just called the Enterprise now. If there are any other media sources, that will be helpful to know about if anybody knows any. Jared, do you guys have a newsletter or like a communication list at the United Way?
Our family center is creating one again, but that's mainly with parental and youth support. But they do.
Gotcha.
Food could be included. Not that this couldn't be included. I don't know the status that's being added again. Their coordinator just came back from leave, so I'm certainly happy to ask. It's in our constant contact right now in draft form. I know that much. So waiting to see that. I'm certainly happy to reach out to them. So those are state grants with DCF. So some I don't know what has to be included and what doesn't, but to include this, I think would be important. So I'm happy to reach out to them.
And is the Family Center still doing like drop-in and everything for folks, like programming and things like that?
Yes, so they have there's the Family Resource Center, our Community Connections program, which I believe would fit well here. And then we have a local consumer program in partnership with the Attorney General's office. So the Community Connections program, the Family Resource Center are two separate programs under the Family Center.
Okay, so maybe if you could put me in touch with your coordinator, maybe we can get some flyers there or something.
Yes.
That would be great.
Yeah.
Awesome.
They have more flyers than I can count down the street from us. So
yeah, that's great. And Nathan, does Rep Badger have a newsletter? I really should know this, but does she have anything?
Yeah, she does.
Do you think it would be appropriate for her to include something? I know we probably have to go back, obviously, and talk to her about it.
Yeah, I can make a note. I can ask if she'd be interested in sharing stuff out in the newsletter.
Yeah, no, that's there. That'd be great. And Christine, does Catholic Charities have a newsletter, or is it mostly kind of placing flyers and paper copies at your space?
So we don't really have a newsletter geared towards clients, more towards volunteers and donors.
Okay.
Hey, Joanne.
Mm-hmm.
Didn't the Bridgewater Buzz get in touch with us about looking for news articles?
Yeah, so we did reach out to Buzz Around. So they have online. Yep, they have online newsletters. We sent her everything. She said she would. I haven't seen it in any of the newsletters, so I'm going to chase her again this week. That's a good call. Thanks, Bill.
Okay.
Okay. Super. Anybody got any other suggestions? No.
Well, I just have a question, Joanne, and maybe
Yeah.
Brenda, you know this. For how do folks know, or would they know that the survey is offered in the additional languages? Like, do we have a way for on a flyer or somewhere for people to know that? I'm fuzzy on where we are with that.
Yeah, so right now it just exists as a drop down on the survey itself.
Okay.
But all the
Okay.
yeah. So like if you log into if you go to the link, there's like a little drop down there that you can choose your language from. The promotional materials haven't been translated yet, but I was going to translate just the survey flyer and put, because in particular in Brockton, we want to try and put some of those out in hard copy. So I was going to do that this week and try and get them out.
Okay. Thank you.
Anybody else have any questions or suggestions about the survey? Jill, Bren, I don't know if there was anything else that you wanted to talk about with regard to the survey promotion.
I think just the one thing that we wanted to push is, Joanne, I know you've been doing like such great outreach work and sending it out to your networks, but also everyone on this call has a network that is somehow related to this area, this region, and there could be, you know, that sort of snowball effect that everyone could reach out to their own network and it could go from there, to sort of add on to all the work that you're doing as well, Joanne.
Yeah, that would be a great help. And we definitely see that often makes the difference on our projects is when that's like you described, that snowball effect.
Yeah. And if anyone has kids, have your kids take it at the dinner table. It's always good to have, we almost never get survey responses from people under 18 or under 35.
I was about to say, yeah, like under 35, under 40. Yeah.
Yeah.
Tough group.
Men tend to take surveys less than women. So if you have partners or friends or neighbors, get them to take it. And sort of just a word of mouth, friends, you know, people who know people.
Yeah. And definitely if you're on social, feel free to post on your personal social as well. You can either share a post directly from like Old Colony Planning Council's page if you want to, or you can just use the promotional materials and, you know, put your own post together. The other place that's helpful too, and so I have access to quite a few of them in our area, but like a lot of our communities have like moms groups, like Easton Moms, for example, on Facebook is a massive source of news for the community. So if there are any other like social media groups that you're part of on Facebook, sharing in those is often very helpful as well too. Oh, Kevin said you guys also have the Abington News. I did not know that, so that's really good to know. Okay. We'll check all these out. Thank you all. All right. Anybody else got anything else on the survey? Any questions? No?
Joanne, I was
Okay.
wondering, I was going to
Yeah.
ask folks from the Barrett Group, did you guys get any significant contacts or make any inroads at the agricultural conference? Because there are a bunch of people there. I know I ran into a bunch of people I used to work with in the field, and I was just wondering how you did and if you got anything out of that.
Yeah, I know from, we had a sign up sheet at our table. We have 11 new people who wanted to sign up for news and updates and get connected with our project. I think we also had 2 people give us feedback on our boards with sticky notes. And I think we talked to every table that was there.
Yeah. I thought it was an amazing conference. So wonderful to meet folks. It was really helpful for me. I got to talk to some folks in the processing industry, Pat's Pastured and Meatworks, and it was really informative. And I may schedule follow-ups with them for the future. But it was also just really great to be in the room with and hear a bunch of the farmers' questions in those spaces. And then I did just get to follow up with Susan from CMAP, who's, you know, just recovered from the conference, I feel like, and had a really great time connecting with her this morning. And she actually, Meg, I'm gonna need you to help me with the intro to a farmer, but she had a great list of farmers who were both at the conference and not at the conference that we should follow up with. So yeah, it was great, Bill. I thought it was a really fantastic conference and great folks tabling. And yeah, I feel like we made a lot of good connections there.
No, that's good. I've gotten a lot of good feedback from the folks that I talked to too. So I'm glad you guys, it was worth your while and you made some contacts.
Definitely. Has the survey material been shared to that growing list of contacts?
The conference attendees?
Yes.
So I actually know. So I did add them to my meeting list.
Yes.
But I have not shared I have not. So thank you for pointing that out.
Sure. Has everybody on the
meeting
meeting list had the survey shared with them? Do we know?
So
yes.
everybody who's in the planning group had it shared with them. I think that the one thing was just because I'm on the planning committee for that group, and I think right now they're trying to get like their own survey filled out. You know what I mean? So like the follow-up that they're doing at this time is still specifically targeted to people to do their own survey on like how the conference was overall. So not that they, I think, wouldn't share with conference participants, but I think probably they're trying to get like their own stuff figured out before they add in like a completely different survey. But I can talk about that with the planning group or send everybody out like just like what their thoughts are on that.
Thank you, Meg.
Great. What I was going to actually do is, and I thought this might make it easier just for folks to access the info, is I'm thinking about putting all the promotional stuff for the survey actually on our webpage, so that folks that are just randomly visiting as well will be able to access that stuff off of there. So I'm going to do that instead of referring folks to a shared drive, which I think can overcomplicate it sometimes for folks.
I think that's a great idea.
Super. Okay. Anything else about the survey? Oh, that would be awesome, Nathan. Thank you. So Rep Badger will share on her social. I'll send you some stuff that you can copy and paste from to make it easier for you guys.
That sounds
Joanne,
great. Thank you.
I was just wondering when Barrett Group might be able to see some preliminary information. I think for deciding who to outreach to, it might be helpful for us to kind of see some trends that are starting to appear.
Yeah, I can share. So I know Jill sent me a request earlier this week to get login access. I don't want to share that with too many people. So I'm going to share the login access with Brenna, but what I'll do is I'll also export just the current survey findings, like from the, it won't be fully processed or cleaned data or anything like that.
That's perfect.
But that'll give you a sense of what you need,
Thank
Lydia,
you.
I think.
That's great. Thank you.
Yeah. Yeah. And then just reach out if you want an updated one. Brenna or I will be able to pull that.
Yeah. And Joanne, if you just want to send it as the Excel, that's okay too. We can work with that.
Okay. No, we're happy to share the login. We've done it before, so.
Okay.
Cool. Okay. Anything else about the survey? Okay. All right. So we have a little bit of time left. So the next step, really, that apart from the surveys and the interviews and focus groups, the other big thing that Barrett's been working on is an existing conditions assessment. So I thought, Brenna and Jill, maybe you guys can tell us a little bit more about like the data that you guys have been looking at, what you've been pulling into that, what it's kind of, what it's going to look like maybe, and kind of a timeline and what to expect and things like that.
Yeah, I can talk a little bit about that. So we've been pulling a lot of existing reports. So we start with like a little bit of a brief literature review of like, what are the planning efforts relevant to this area that have been done before? And in Massachusetts in the last decade, there's been dozens of plans. So this is an area where there is like a really good existing body of work to pull from. And a lot of that information is still relevant, and some of the data is still like the most updated version that we have. And mostly all of the findings that we're seeing from these reports that we're pulling is that there's a stated desire over the last decade to have a more self-reliant, self-sufficient food system in the region and in Massachusetts, but that there are challenges to that based on markets, infrastructure, consumer spending, and education. And I think one interesting thing to note was that Massachusetts has the second lowest proportion of local spending on food, on spending on local food in New England, but the highest amount of money spent on local food in New England. So we're spending more money on local food, but as a proportion of all the food we buy, we're second lowest in the region. Massachusetts is like ranked 5th nationally in direct consumer marketing sales. So there is like a lot of good work happening and data that supports it, that local food is being pushed out to people and people are being made more aware of it. But I think it's something like 2% of spending, 2.7% of spending is on local food. So the report, it looks at an analysis of demographics, who's in the area. We look at farmland, water and landless farming, food system workers, food security, food access, an analysis of the economics in the region and the food economy specifically, an environmental analysis with a climate resilience focus, especially as it pertains to the food system, transportation analysis, looking at where food is coming from in the region, how it's getting there, how people are getting to food, and infrastructure analysis, what is available in the region for processing, distribution, manufacturing, how that helps and hinders the food system. And so all of that essentially will create a context that in the draft plan that we'll look at for like issues and opportunities in the system overall, based on all of that data that we're pulling. And then that will inform the strategies and recommendations going forward. So in terms of timeline, we will have a draft sent out on the 11th to OCPC to review, and then it will be presented at the next steering committee meeting in March.
Great. So once OCPC has a chance to review it, then we'll be able to forward it all on to everybody else. So our next meeting, I think, is what is it, March 25. So you'll probably get it from us, no later than March 18. So we'll try and give you at least a week, if not more, to be able to review that assessment. Brenna, in the work that you guys have been doing, have there been any areas that have been challenging to get data for, or that you wish you had more information about?
I think data that is a little challenging to get is right now I'm doing the commercial fishing. Some of that is redacted due to confidentiality. I had no idea that fishing numbers had to be confidential. So some of those numbers aren't fully complete, but it's the data that's available from the Department of Marine Fisheries, and I think the Fisheries of the United States data is the most detailed that I've been able to see. I think one of the data constraints is that the Census of Agriculture is only available at the county level and not the town level. So that's a major data constraint for the towns in the study area outside of Plymouth County.
There are also 2 plans that are, like, again, timing. Like for Brenna, the port profile data is not going to be released until April, and then Greater Boston Food Bank's food security report is not going to come out, I think, until April as well. So
yeah. So
do we know if we can get draft access to those? Have we asked?
I've asked both of those. They said as soon as they're out, that we'll get them even before as soon as they are finalized, but I don't think we can get draft numbers.
Yeah. So I have the port by port plan from 2024 is the most recent one. And the Greater Food Bank is from 2025. That's the most recent one that we can.
Oh, okay. So they're not that old. Yeah.
They're not out of
Yeah.
date. Just we don't
No,
have
but there will be new info like that. We'll just have to kind of slide. We'll put
Yeah.
in. But
I did try really hard to get so the MVP grant program, I did ask for a 6 months extension, partly because there is also a farmland protection project that we're involved in that's going to be doing a lot of outreach, and it was a no-go, unfortunately. So it's kind of a bummer because I think there's quite a lot happening between like April and September that we really could have pulled in, but it is what it is, and it's meant to be a living document anyway, right? So if we need to make changes later, then we can do that. What was I going to ask you? Brenna, have you been in touch with folks at DMF, or are you just pulling from their site? Because we have a couple of, Bill especially has quite a few good contacts.
I've done an interview with oh my gosh.
Brad Chase? Somebody else?
I'm sorry. Story Read.
Okay.
No, I hadn't been in touch with someone like directly from their statistics or data department.
Okay.
But they do like the data that they have available is available on their website.
Yeah. I would definitely though, just in case, because what I found like when we were doing the regional water plan, for example, is that often state agencies hold a lot of data that they don't necessarily have on their website. It's not like hidden or secret or anything like that. Yeah. It's just that they like don't have a portal or a place to put it. So sometimes you might be able to get a little bit more if you try and directly reach out. Bill, I don't know if that's something you can maybe talk to Brad about. I don't know if he's involved in saltwater stuff or just freshwater.
Yeah, I don't know. I can check around. He may have leads. There's a couple of other people I know too who maybe have leads on something like that, but I'll check for sure.
Super. All right. Anything else on that, Brenna? Anything else that you feel the group can maybe help with or contribute to at this point?
I don't think so. I mean, if anyone had like a data set or a resource that they know of that they think is really great, you could send it along and we'll include it.
Oh, and the other thing to mention too is that there is going to be like a mapping element of it. So we will have like a map that will show us where a lot of the key food related assets are across our region. So that'll be a nice visual and helpful too.
Yeah, so the inventory map, our plan currently is to keep that separate as a interactive or like living map, probably hosted online. And so that is also an ongoing project because we're hoping that some of the survey responses will give us more data or like locations that we can then geocode and add to the map. As a way to collect some of that spatial data that's not currently available.
What we've reached out to like OC, so there are maps that both SERPED and MAPC, our sister planning agencies, have. So we're going to coordinate with them as well to try and get their layers and try and map things in a similar way across the board so we can eventually work towards a statewide map. That would be nice.
Yeah, MAPC's layers are available.
Oh, great. So you got those already.
Yeah,
cool.
So we have those. We have the layers from MDAR, and there's a couple other lists of like producers. MassGIS has farmers markets, and we have a couple other farmers markets layers. Resilient Mass has one. Policy Map has one. So we have a few different data sources that will then compile all together to create a very large data set of
big one. Yeah, that's exciting. So when we share that with folks, we'll ask everybody to kind of like proofread it for their communities as well too. Because I noticed, for example, like SERPED's in Easton is missing like there's like another Dollar Tree location that they don't have and things like that. So that'll be another way I think for the steering committee to help us make sure we get it right.
Yeah.
Okay. Any questions at all in general, either for Brenna or for anybody else? Anything anybody else wanted to talk about or hear a little bit more about today? No? Okay, so we're done a little bit early. I just want to remind folks that after this meeting, when you leave, it will pop up for a meeting feedback survey. If you can take like literally 2 seconds just to pop in your feedback, that would be super helpful. We report that back to our grant funders as well too. Our next meeting will be on March 25 at 11 a.m. virtually. We'll be talking about the assessment that Brenna just described. And in the meantime, I'll follow up with you all about the promotional materials for the survey. Folks, if you have any suggestions for additional businesses or organizations to interview in the region related to the food system, that will be super helpful. And following this meeting at noon on a different link, so you can refer back to that email that I sent, will be our next Community Advisory Board meeting. All right. Thank you all, everybody, for joining.
Thank you.
Stay safe. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Thank you.
Thank
Have a
you.
good one.
Joanne.